Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to continue on our series of looking at these category breakdowns at the upcoming Oscars. And so for today's category breakdown, we're going to look at the Best Production Design category. So we're going to, if you haven't seen any of the previous videos in this series, there is a playlist that I've created where you can go and look at all of those different videos. But we're going to continue on just doing the same thing that we've done for each of those videos, where we're going to go through each of the nominees, the artists, in this case, the production designer and the set decorator that are nominated with the film, and then just kind of a couple little facts about the film, talk about the production design a little bit, and then at the end we'll go over my personal ranking and then my prediction of how I think each of these films are going to finish at the Oscars. And then just a little bit of a kind of a cool little stat that I noticed while I was kind of putting this together for today's video is that everyone in this category, they combined for 28 different Oscar nominations, but everyone, all of the production designers and the set decorators combined for 28, they're all still looking for their first Oscar win. So someone in this category is going to become a first-time Oscar winner. So exciting stuff. So without further ado, let's get into each of the nominees. The first nominee that we're taking a look at today is Barbie. Production designer Sarah Greenwood, set decoration by Katie Spencer. Sarah Greenwood and Katie Spencer have been nominated together 7 times. Their most recent nominations came back in 2018 when they were double nominated for Darkest Hour and Beauty and the Beast. They are still looking for their first Oscar wins. Now, obviously, when you think of production design, Barbie is one of the first films probably of 2023 that you think of. Just the way that they were able to create Barbie Land, just in and of itself, the one location was so impressive. All of the different, the different houses. Obviously, you got the Mojo Dojo Casa house toward the end of the film, but then just all of Barbie's houses. The production design that's going on at the beach early in the film. There's just so much just about Barbie Land itself that is just anytime like a film can kind of just put you into a different world, that in and of itself is just like such impressive production design. And I mean, and then obviously you've even got like, the Mattel building later on that, the different location, but for the most part, a ton of the movie is just kind of set right there in the Barbie Land, and that's obviously the most impressive bit of the production design. And then just like the different, obviously you've got Barbie, stereotypical Barbie, Margot Robbie's character, her house and the different things. She's kind of got like the pool in the front yard. She's got the car that's just right outside that she drops down and floats into. And just so the different area, parts of the production design that you're going to have the walls that kind of are opening up for her. Just everything about Barbie Land in particular is just so impressive. And then obviously each of the houses, the set decoration by Katie Spencer, the decoration inside of them, and just everything being so pink. Like I don't remember. I should have looked up the story, but there was that article, that story that was going around during the summertime about how there was like a nationwide pink paint shortage because of the Barbie movie. Like that's how much like effort and care was put into the production, just all of the overall production design for Barbie, just everything being so pink. And honestly, it's just super impressive, and it's one of like it is. If you just ask a lot of people that don't watch a lot of film, just like the best feats of production design over the year, obviously a lot of them are going to point out Barbie. And so for my personal ranking, I am putting this in first. For my prediction, I'm putting it in second, but this is one of those categories where, like last video, I was talking about Barbie and another film. They're really just kind of going head to head in a lot of these categories. The next nominee is Killers of the Flower Moon. Production designer Jack Fisk. Set decoration by Adam Willis. This is Jack Fisk's third Oscar nomination, following The Revenant in 2016 and There Will Be Blood in 2008. This is Adam Willis's first Oscar nomination. He was also a set decorator on Oppenheimer. So Killers of the Flower Moon has a lot of different impressive feats of production design, but I think for me personally, I don't know if this is maybe just a me thing or if this is kind of everyone kind of thinks this way of when you think of a film and you think of something like their production design, there's usually the one thing that you kind of think of, right? And so thinking of Killers of the Flower Moon, the real impressive feat of the production design in that film is the town. It is that street that they're kind of on a lot of times, and what's impressive is building that street from the outside, just looking at all these buildings, right? But then there's a couple of them that I'm sure maybe weren't actually inside those buildings, but a different additional set that then had to be built. For example, like the barber shop scene with Robert De Niro and Jesse Plemons' character. But then you're also going to have the inside of the homes, the multiple different houses that they're in throughout the film, is the impressive production design there. And then toward the end of the film, not going to try not to spoil too much of it, but there is kind of the jail cell scene, and then there's like the courtroom scenes right at the end of the film that are impressive. And so for me, just the overall production design in Killers of the Flower Moon, of making this town feel lived in, making it feel like it's a real town that is, it just, again, it's Killers of the Flower Moon set, in previous time, and so being able to make it feel like that is, you are in that time, that is an active and a breathing town, that this is a real place that we've just transported back and been to this real place. That's the impressive feat for me there for the production design in Killers of the Flower Moon. So my personal ranking of Killers of the Flower Moon, I'm going to put this in fourth, and then my prediction is also fourth, and you're going to see a theme here starting to develop. This category, the production design category, maybe isn't as exciting as other categories. The next nominee that we're taking a look at is Napoleon. Production designer Arthur Max. Set decoration by Ellie Griff. This is Arthur Max's fourth Oscar nomination, with the other three nominations also coming from Ridley Scott films: The Martian, American Gangster, and Gladiator. He is a longtime collaborator with Ridley Scott, as 15 of his 18 films have come with Scott as the director. This is Ellie Griff's first Oscar nomination. Her last film was 2022's Glass Onion. Now, Napoleon also does what I was just giving Killers of the Flower Moon credit for being a film, a period piece film set further back. Obviously, Napoleon set even further back, but it does the same thing of creating a world, creating these sets that make it feel like this is a real place, this is a real country. We just went to this place and we're able to shoot on location, and we didn't have to build all these sets, or we didn't have to do anything special. Like, this was just a fully functional operating place of the world that we were able to go to. And so that's for me, that's Napoleon is able to do that very well. Napoleon kind of has two different kind of stages of the production design that I really love. Obviously, you have the first part, kind of the battlefields and kind of the action sequences that are kind of set in the outside sets that they had to build, the kind of obviously the open fields, the open space. There's obviously multiple different battle scenes, and a lot of that is very impressive work. But for me, a lot of Napoleon's the production design work is really, it's kind of more in the mundane parts of Napoleon. It's the scenes where Joaquin Phoenix is just kind of walking around, or he's in his house with Vanessa Kirby, or he's in various meetings, or just kind of any of like the dinner. Kind of like the party scenes, or I guess not really parties, but earlier in the scenes where there's just kind of the dinner party scenes. And so you get a lot of very impressive, just kind of the fancy dining rooms, any of the meetings where they're the kind of I guess I don't know exactly what you call them, but the meetings, all the buildings where Joaquin Phoenix is like meeting with someone and they're having these conversations. Then there's even there's one scene, kind of an outdoor kind of setting where he's meeting with a character, and they're discussing different things. And so it's like the production design, obviously, in the inside, there's just the kind of the fancy, the elaborate, the just elegant kind of dining area, that type of feat. And then obviously you just at the outdoor, the battle scenes, and then as well as just kind of some of the I don't know exactly how what to call them, but just kind of some of the buildings and the sets that are just kind of the more outdoor stuff where Joaquin Phoenix is having those meetings. There's just a lot of really impressive of production design work in Napoleon. So my personal ranking of Napoleon, I'm putting this in fifth, and then my prediction is I'm also putting this in fifth. The next nominee that we are taking a look at is Oppenheimer. Production designer Ruth de Jong. Set decoration by Claire Kaufman. This is Ruth de Jong's first Oscar nomination. Other production design work from de Jong includes Nope, Manchester by the Sea, and Yellowstone. This is Claire Kaufman's first Oscar nomination. Other set decoration work from Kaufman includes White Noise, Hustle, and Little Women. And so for Oppenheimer, the biggest feat of the production design is obviously Los Alamos. It's kind of the same thing in the real story of the Manhattan Project and J. Robert Oppenheimer and everyone just going out and building Los Alamos. It's kind of the same thing that the film Oppenheimer does, of going out and just kind of building this set, recreating Los Alamos. And obviously again, it's another one of those things that throughout Oppenheimer, there's a lot of impressive, production design. Obviously, when you doing during like the Trinity test, kind of that whole sequence, with the bomb and kind of the different kind of that the tower that they're going up in that sense, and then obviously later in the film you're going to have scenes, kind of the scenes in the White House, or meeting with Truman, and just different like elements like that. That there's going to be the impressive production design. Obviously, you got the courthouse scenes as well there, so there's impressive production design throughout. But again, when you think of Oppenheimer and you think of the production design, you're going to think of Los Alamos being able to kind of resurrect this town, and it's the same thing. I'm just kind of, especially when you've got a film like this that's a film about a real person, about a real events. Obviously, a lot of what the production design, it's kind of the same thing as you're harkening back to the real events, and you're making us live in that moment. And so it's impressive that Oppenheimer is able to do the same thing that I was just giving Napoleon credit for, and the same thing that I was just giving Killers of the Flower Moon credit for, of making it feel like Los Alamos was still just an up and functioning. This was just a town. They went to Los Alamos. They were just shooting there, like they were still in this time period. This was still like, it really just kind of puts you in that place. That this isn't, you're not getting the feeling that this is a movie. That this is, kind of the actors like putting on kind of a show here in this stage or whatever. Like, this just feels like a lived in. Los Alamos felt like a lived in city, a lived this town where you've got where you've got all the scientists, you've got all the families, and they're all just working here, and we're just being able to watch this. And so again, that's, for me, that's the production design that's super impressive on films, or films that are like based on true events, is being able to really just kind of put you there and make you feel like you are living in that moment with them. So my personal prediction for Oppenheimer is 3, and my prediction for Oppenheimer is 3. Again, this is not a very exciting race, but we are getting to the last film that will kind of give us a little bit more to talk about. And the final nominee that we're taking a look at is Poor Things. Production designers James Price and Shauna Heath. Set decoration by Zsuzsa Mihalik. This is the first nomination for all 3 of James Price, Shauna Heath, and Zsuzsa Mihalik. Other production design work from James Price includes Judy and Paddington 2, and this is the first feature-length production design credit for Shauna Heath. Other set decoration work from Zsuzsa Mihalik includes Atomic Blonde and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And so again, I mentioned it last video, I mentioned it again early in this video, there are multiple categories where it really is Barbie versus Poor Things, and they're going head to head, and this is another one of those categories. Because for me, I think you ask a lot of just, the people in your life, people that maybe don't watch a whole ton of movies, you ask them what the most impressive production design feat of 2023 is, a lot of them are just going to say Barbie, because let's be fair, a lot of people have seen Barbie, and that is the most impressive production design work of a film that a lot of people have seen. Not as many people have seen Poor Things, and I'm sure there's as many people that, as opposed to like haven't seen Poor Things, there's probably as many people that just haven't even heard of it. It hasn't, outside of, kind of people that are really into film and really into cinema, it's not a film that I think got as much talk about, as other films, especially Barbie. And so Poor Things, for me, it is, I put Barbie as like my favorite production design work of the year, but Poor Things for me, it's right there. It's kind of neck and neck in that same realm, because Poor Things, you have, again, I mentioned that there's kind of like the one thing that is impressive about a lot of the films. Poor Things, honestly, is like, maybe there's a couple sets here and there, a couple bits of elements of production design that you can point to and say like those were your favorite parts. But for me, Poor Things, it's really just, it's the whole film. It's everything just kind of encapsulated into the amazing production design. Obviously, you've kind of got the lavish, just kind of like I guess like the castles and like the hotels, that they're in. Obviously, you've got the whole cruise ship set, and then you've got like Willem Dafoe's, like his characters, like the home, and for me, I think a lot of what's impressive about the production design is kind of the same thing that I was saying that it's impressive about the costumes for Poor Things, where everything feels as if it's like so close to being normal, and it's so close to just being a regular part of like our world, but then it has the extra tweaks or the extra flourishes on top of the like the costumes. And it's the same thing with the production design. They just have the extra things that take it like an extra step and just kind of twist it a little bit to where feels so close and feels almost normal, but then there's just the one little thing, maybe it's the stairs kind of wind really weird, or maybe it's just like, a wall is missing here or there, or like things that are just like, it makes it so close to almost being normal, but then it's got the extra little tweak or flourish that just makes it like feel like you're just in an entirely different world. And then obviously there's some parts of Poor Things that I'm sure you kind of remember, like, or if you've seen the trailer, or if you've seen the film, there's kind of this scene with Emma Stone like out on that balcony, just kind of looking up, and you see things in the sky, and there's stuff like that where it's very clear that we're really not in like the same universe, right? But again, it's so close, and I think that for me is the most impressive part about both the costumes and the production design, is the way that it's again just so close to being normal and being part of our world, but that it just takes it that one extra step, kind of twists it a little bit, and it just becomes really impressive production design work. So my personal ranking of Poor Things, I'm putting this in second, and then my prediction is I am predicting this to win the Oscar. And that's it. Those are the nominees for Best Production Design at the upcoming Academy Awards on March 10th. Let me know in the comments what films you're rooting for and what films you think are going to win. And as always, let me know in the comments as well what films that didn't get into production design would you have liked to have seen get in here, into production design. I know for me personally, like John Wick is a film, John Wick Chapter 4 is a film that it was in a lot of kind of, it could have been in a lot of craft categories, but ultimately just didn't really have any momentum, didn't get anything along the way. But yeah, so let me know any films that you would have liked to have seen be nominated in production design, and then also in the comments let me know what categories you'd like to see me break down next. And I'll again, I keep saying this, but I kind of have the rhythm and the kind of the order that I'm going in. But if there is a category that is requested, I will try and move that up for you. So again, thank you for watching and have a great day.